So it sounds like my only mistake was saying I was sweating like a stuck pig. If I'd have said sweating like a pig, that would count. But it sounds better to say sweating like a stuck pig. Yeah. That's the dilemma.
It adds it.
And I think here we're back to, I talk about Twitter lists all the time. I think people are being too literal. I think it sounds more expressive. Most people are going to be able to figure it out. So I'm going to try to stick to sweating like a stuck pig.
You've made it this far with it.
I think I have.
Yeah.
You want to, run me out of town that way? Fine. That's okay. Let's see here.
Hall of Fame career, but he just didn't understand his pigs.
Somebody just sent in 630 guy Rivian piece. That vehicle intrigues me. I have to say, the Rivian. I think they're all electric, aren't they? I've never been in one. I've just seen it feels like they're getting more popular.
Yeah.
Now, do they have their own community, like where they have their own Sly Wave or Wink or something?
Probably.
Do they have something they got to put on the dashboard? I don't know. We'll find out from somebody. Hey, Dan, it's Bahamas guy here. In April 2024, I was riding an e-scooter, was struck by a vehicle, broke my left femur, and had a spiral fracture in my right ankle with a fractured tibia and fibula.
Goodness.
I now have metal plates and screws in both my legs. It took me over 1 year to learn how to walk. I'll see you at the fair. God bless. That's from Bahamas guy. So Bahamas guy live in Bahamas, or is it just he likes to hang, he likes to be known as Bahamas guy? I don't know. Maybe we'll find out at the State Fair this year. Mini Coopers also have an expectation to nod and wave to other Minis as they drive by. Good to know.
I don't think Lexus has those rules.
Probably.
We just drive our cars.
That should be easy enough. All right, let's do this. Let's see if... Well, I'll ask the question I asked before the break. Is happier enough? One of the themes that has developed since the end of the Wolves last season and postseason is that we're too moody for our own good. And the new theory is we need to be happier. We need to smile more. We need to be less moody. And the presumption is, or the theory is, that LaMelo Ball can make us all happier, can change that clubhouse. And interesting comments from Finchie on this subject and many more via Chris Hine out of Vegas. Johnny's going to join us at 5:30. He also was in Vegas. He still might be there. I'm not sure. I want to read a couple of these quotes because there were several comments that interested me, including, well, the head coach is talking about designing an offense that includes both LaMelo and Anthony Edwards. It's reinvigorated me in a lot of ways. It does have the feel of we're all walking into a new landscape. Here's the key part. I intend to assert myself more back into the processes.
Yeah.
We have a lot of great coaches who do a great job, but I want to be a little more hands-on this season. You're welcome, Finchie. You're welcome. How long have we been talking about that? I hope he means it, though. I hope he follows through on it. Hands-on doesn't necessarily mean dictatorial, but it does mean hands-on. And I think it has been a little bit too loose in that sense. Some of it can be you trust your assistant coaches, you want to let them do their job. In the end, though, it's your butt.
It's your team.
And so I hope he means, and I think I would say, if I'm Tim Connelly, I would say to Finchie, well, that's a must, because this is a completely different lineup now in a number of fundamental ways. So that, by definition, necessitates the head coach being much more involved in the design and also, quite frankly, the execution, too. Here's Finchie on LaMelo. He's almost ideal in the sense that he's got such a high IQ and so much connectivity. You just have to look at the numbers when he's on the floor, how much better people shoot. Yet, he can still score for himself if need be. I've always had a soft spot for players who could pass. You and me, Finchie.
I love this next part.
I just think it's the soul of the game, really, and he's going to fit with everybody in that regard. Now,
The soul of the game.
He acknowledges that the Wolves might have a different perception of ball than the public does, and maybe even other basketball teams might. Hein writes, the word unserious gets thrown around a lot with Ball because of his flashy passes and deep three-point attempts. The Wolves, meanwhile, see a great teammate whose joy for the game is going to help their franchise and invigorate Edwards. We do see him a little differently. We see what people see in those critiques. There's no doubt we're going to ask him to clean up the shot selection a little bit. There's no doubt that in the West, where we are, every minute of basketball is going to be meaningful. And I think he's looking forward to that. So, and then eventually he gets more specifically to what he describes as the moodiness problem. We've always talked about a moodiness problem that we've had, and we feel like LaMelo brings this infectious quality. People all tell you that he's really hard not to like. He's hard to stay mad at, which is a tribute to him and his personality. Now, I am on record of endorsing the trade. So nothing has changed in that sense. I think we're seeing a lot more people kind of a lot of people have reached a point where it seems to be growing on them, I guess is the best way to put it, when they were very down on it from the beginning. And there's still some open questions here. But I do have a caution as a guy who wanted to see this happen and who is intrigued by what this might do to the offense and particularly what it might do for Anthony Edwards. But having fun's not enough. Because this is serious stuff in this conference especially. So the having fun part is if you're winning and you're surprising people with your success. And yes, on the court, having a player who's that unselfish with the ball can in of itself make people's teammates smile more. But the onus is on LaMelo to prove that he understands this ain't the Harlem Globetrotters. This is a serious professional basketball league. You even heard Finchy allude to it. And that's what I think, that's the challenge for Finchy. The challenge is you don't want to take the free spirit out of him. You can't. You want to get that as, I guess, a way to change the personality of your team a little bit from so dour and so moody. That's all good. Everybody eats means probably more smiling faces during a game. And that's what, at his best, LaMelo represents. But you do also have to harness some of it, and you have to challenge him. The word on the street was part of the reason he had his best season is that the head coach challenged him more than he'd been challenged in the past as sort of the guy who he's untouchable. He's the only consistent good player we have.
Right.
And he's a showstopper and people like to come to see him. You have to, it's got to be more about upbeat and we're all smiling and we're all having a good time. Some of this is a pain in the ass work that has to be done as the point guard of this team if you want to get to the right place. You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
That's got to be a part of this. I think it's just too simplistic to say, well, we were moody before. You want to be happier. Now, again, can a new player with a different mentality add a buoyancy and spirit to the positive? Absolutely. I think that, though, has less to do with how much he smiles or what the look on his face as if he makes the right plays during games. Everybody wins. And everybody can indeed be happy. But these were, I think, the most extensive comments we've seen thus far. And that's why I thought it was worth
they were good
spending a minute or two on. And I'm sure we'll get into some of this, as I said, with Johnny when he joins at 5:30. It's also interesting that Finchy said, I don't immediately envision Jaden just moving over and playing the 4. Well, I can see at times he'll play there. Maybe played a good number of minutes there. I don't see that right off the bat. To which the obvious comeback is, well, who's going to play there then?
Right. Who's your starter at 4?
Somebody even shorter? Doesn't seem possible unless he knows something about LeBron.
Right.
Maybe he knows something. We still haven't been eliminated.
Or something else that we're doing.
Something else that they're cooking up.
Yes.
I that's one of the questions we'll ask Johnny. What the hell does he mean by that? Because I don't see anybody else on the roster. You can't play Shannon at the 4. I guess the way the league is set up now, it depends on matchups.
Yeah. Well, even in that story, didn't Hine talk about maybe having Ant guard more 4s?
He did. That's true.
But I don't love that. Or maybe might have been Aldrich who was talking about the LeBron part of it too. I'm not sure. Yeah, I that jumped out at me as well, including my favorite quote was the soul of the game, though. That's like a Zen master Phil Jackson quote.
It's true. Yeah.
If said by Phil Jackson, it sounds better.
Yes, but it's all got to be channeled properly because the truth is he has not had to play in a lot of games that mattered. And when so he can't be a clown prince. He can't. I mean, maybe he could there, but he can't. And I think there is more to his game than that. Anybody who can be as pure a passer as he can be, there's seriousness to that, especially if it's channeled correctly. Now, again, it sounds like Finchie's saying, shot selection. But that goes back to, do you have to take the good with the bad with him? Where you go, okay, there's going to be a couple shots where I'm going to go, oh, God, what are we doing? But then if he makes 3 great no-look passes after that, or just the right read, then you're probably going to have to live with some of that too. So
I think there'll be a middle ground. Obviously, they do too, because that's why they're willing to do it. That's why they've coveted him allegedly for so long.
I'll be curious to see how that goes tomorrow, because that tomorrow is the unveiling, correct?
11 a.m. right here on the Fan.
Live, local, right here on the Fan. Chris writes, LaMelo wants to play fast, Ant wants to play slow. It'll be interesting to see if Finch can put this together and make it work. I do think LaMelo does. You have no choice, I think, but to play faster. We'll see how Edwards handles that. There was a quote. See if I can find it. Yeah, this is also, I thought, a telling little comment, Anthony Edwards related. Finch said Edwards could be part of the solution by guarding larger players at the 4, as you mentioned. Overall, the team would like to see Edwards' engagement on defense perk back up, since he doesn't have to expend as much energy running the offense full time. Here's the quote. It's not negotiable for his defense to come back a little more. Now, he quickly added, I get why it may have taken a bit of a step back because of all the responsibilities he had offensively. But I also thought that was a good shot across the bow. I hope he sticks with it. Because there's no reason Anthony Edwards should not be a great two-way player. And this year, not having to, consume himself with every aspect of running this offense and scoring, he's got less excuse for not going back to what he was a couple years ago, which was basically at times a shutdown defender. Correct?
Yeah. Yes.
That has to also be part, and that's part of the reason I like Ball coming aboard. It's not just that it can take some of the pressure off offensively. It can take some of the pressure off Anthony Edwards defensively to the extent that he can concentrate on defense more because he's not having to expend, presumably, the same amount of energy. Now, again, there is energy playing off the ball. It's a different kind of energy, but it's not quite the same as literally the original sin, as Finchie referred to it the night we got eliminated, actually, about basically making Anthony Edwards the de facto point guard, really basically on the eve of the regular season.
And really, and everything that we're talking about, like who plays the 4, the LaMelo stuff, I think this is a massive year for Ant.
I agree.
Because a lot of the safety net has been taken away a little bit.
Yes.
Mike Conley's not here. Obviously, Carl went away a few years ago. And we've all, I think, celebrated the growth and development and just the track and ascension that he has been on. The fact that he's played, we do forget because he's been in so many great high leverage situation games that he is 24 years old. He's going to turn 25, I think, right before the season. We do forget that he's still relatively young and he's done a lot in his young career. But I do think now is the time where, because Finchie's quote was, we've seen a different level of engagement or something along those lines in terms of the offseason and the conversations that they've had. And I would say for all of this stuff to work, like all of that is the requirement.
Yes.
Like he's, I think, allowed now. I know Rudy's still here as a veteran, but he's, I think, allowed now to lead exactly how he wants to and everybody's looking to him. He should be able to level up in a lot of these different areas. And that, I think, takes the team to levels that they haven't been at. Whether they can win a title or not, I don't know. But it's his turn now to fully take the team.
The other thing is, conversely, if Edwards delivers more consistently defensively, that probably makes it a little easier to deal with the fact that LaMelo Ball is not a great defensive player. Now, once again, the best case scenario, as listed, is he figures it out. It's time. He's got to, exert more energy on that side. But regardless, if you get more out of Edwards and you already have another good perimeter defender, depending again on where he's playing, in Jaden, who often does that, it takes some of the pressure off of LaMelo. Dr. Mike writes, is L Ball kind of what we wished Ricky Rubio could have been if our Rubio had learned to shoot and hadn't gotten hurt? In a sense, yes. I mean, I think Ball is a far more accomplished scorer than Rubio, even I think before Rubio got hurt. They're both unbelievable passers for sure. And again, remember, LaMelo Ball is not a great shooter. He's been a good scorer, but his percentages as a perimeter player are not state of the art, right? They're lower than they probably should be, and that might get back to selection. It certainly seems as if he shouldn't need to be to take as many shots as he can. And I do think if you're comparing the two personalities, you'd say in general, Ricky he came off as more serious.
Yes.
About the work. But I will also say, as somebody who way back when wanted the Wolves to draft LaMelo, obviously the Wolves made the right choice in Anthony Edwards. But what I will tell you is there have been we don't see him a lot because he's in the other conference, right? But there have been a ton of games where I say, man, that's a good play. Or that's a hell of a, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like this, behind the back sort of pass. It's like he makes a lot of good basketball plays. Now, does he need to lower the volume on the bad ones or the frequency, I guess, of the bad ones? Yeah, there's no question. That's what you hope now that he's playing alongside. This has got to be the best player he's ever played with, right, Anthony Edwards?
Yes.
It's not like he hasn't had more recently some talent. They've added some talent. But it's got to be easily the best player he's ever played with, and so you hope that also enters into it. The guy can make plays, man. He is and he's 6'7", 6'6", 6'7", whatever he's listed at. He's not a little guy, which also I think could help this club, given that they're going to be as small as they are. It appears, at least in the front court. Here's quite a salvo. This is from 612, guys. See what you make of this. Wolves will never win a title with Finch. They simply won't. Took him 4 years to figure out he needs to be more hands-on. He admitted in the playoffs he didn't know how to use Shannon properly. Add the weird games versus bad opponents where they no-show, the moodiness, the in-game brain farts. It's so obvious he is our Doug Collins.
Whoa.
Okay head coach with great talent but unable to put it together. Who will be the Wolves' big chief triangle? So he's already projecting that it's the classic case of one guy's only taken us so far, although I think he's already taken the Wolves farther than Doug Collins ever took the Bulls with Michael Jordan. I don't think Doug Collins ever got the Bulls to conference finals. I don't believe before the change was made, and the correct change. Obviously, Phil Jackson was hired, and the rest is kind of history on that. But it is an interesting deal. In a perfect world, the implementation of LaMelo will improve our moodiness, and the team will improve LaMelo's professionalism. That's Jeff from Richfield. Yes, it's a good observation, but again, let's remember something. This team, I won't say it's had a professionalism issue in the past, but there has been a maturity issue, which we've talked about forever.
Definitely.
So the idea that much is so established on this team, I'm not sure it has been. It needs to be demanded as they go into this next phase to make this thing work.
Bulls went to an Eastern Conference final in Doug Collins' last year.
Oh, they did.
1989.
I stand corrected. They did get that far.
That was their first one in 15 years.
Who was that against, did it say?
They lost to the Bad Boys, the Pistons.
The Pistons. Oh, I did not remember that. Okay, I remember the series, the Cleveland series was him. Interesting. There you go.
Yeah, I think this is a big year for Finch. To go back to the texter, I'm not as down on him as that texter is,
right.
But I think it's okay for him to. That's my biggest concern about him. Now that his defenders, the stands will say, well, part of the reason why these guys like playing for him so much and he gets a lot out of them when he needs it is because he doesn't micromanage and he does let him play with freedom. You got to see the film sessions when he really cuts after him. It's like,
yeah.
Well, but at some point, we got to get to a point where we don't need that 7 times a year.
Right.
Like the group. So I guess it's everybody working in tandem, obviously, but I would love to see him be more hands-on because that's what coaching is. That's what coaches do. Maybe in the NBA it's different than every other level. I don't know. But I hope that he is, because at some point, as good a guy as you are and as many games as you've won, you do have a shelf life as an NBA head coach. There's very few Steve Kerrs. There's very few Greg Popoviches. There's just not, like, you get to a certain point and there is a familiarity breeds contempt part of things. So I think this is a big couple of years for him too.
Could Baron J play the 4? Everybody has told me no, including our 5:30 guest, but we'll see. I mean, could he evolve into that? The issue early on him is, I think the belief is he's got to become a better shooter than he is now to be a 4.
Yeah.
That he's active, he's mobile, he's a defensive presence already. You know, he can make the alley-oop play. He'll catch the ball a lot better than Rudy.
True.
But, now, if the offense at the other 3 positions is going the way it should with LaMelo, running it and you getting the best out of what he has to offer, opening up the court in a way that has never happened with this group, even as successful as it was making 2 conference finals runs, maybe you can get away with it more, or different combinations depending on, what the matchup is, who you're playing against, and so forth. A couple of good texts here coming in on this subject, and even a World Cup one I want to get to. Let's make this the bottom of the hour pause. Top 5 at 5 at the top of the hour. We may get back into some World Cup stuff. Today's the off day. The first semifinal tomorrow, the second one on Wednesday. Stay tuned.
You're listening to Barrera.
Contest, the 4 o'clock keyword is fun. We were just talking about fun. Go to KFAN.com and enter the keyword fun.
You're getting ripped, and in this case, it's not for anything you have or haven't done.
Interesting.
Guardsy, Dan's microphone has a hollow sound, almost like it's feeding back. Please check your board and adjust accordingly. Ring the room, audio term. What does that mean?
Ring the room?
Ring, R-I-N-G, the room.
No idea.
He claims it's 763 guy on both of them. You can kind of hear feedback in the background when he's talking. He's either too close to the microphone or you need to adjust his level. Please, dude, do it. It's driving me nuts. Let me turn down the speaker in here, see if that has any impact.
Little reverb coming back from the speaker over there. Maybe it's the headphones being a little loud. I don't know. Audio coming back into the microphone. That's been known to do an echo.
That one's not even on. That speaker's not even on. We have no other speaker that's on in this room. Unless there's one I'm not aware of.
No. I didn't even know we had a speaker in that room until like 6 months ago. But we do.
You didn't know that?
No.
Where have you been living?
In this room.
Well, that's true.
I'm over here.
Well, that's another reason why you should bring back the cake show. Then you would know.
That's true. I would have learned.
You would have learned that a long time ago.
Worst case scenario is on a mythic run right now.
That's what they sell. That's what they tell me.
So I like having them where they are.
Let me get to some stats here. There's a LaMelo Ball fan in flames over my suggestion that he isn't a good shooter. Let me give you the numbers. Overall, not from 3. The last 2 seasons, 40.5% and 40.7%. That's not good shooting if you're a perimeter player. I mean, perimeter player, you're not expected to be at 50 unless you're Michael Jordan, but that's low. That goes back to a belief that he's some of it's just improving your shot selection.
Yes.
You know, taking fewer, probably taking fewer shots. I'm looking at, now again, I think as we talked about when the deal was made, he already made a concession last year. He shot 4 fewer attempts last season than the year before. He's at 21 plus in the 2024-25 season. They improved their team around him. He goes down to 17. And the team had its best season. He was instrumental in them finally having what might be classified as a breakthrough year. Now, from 3, 37% this last year, you'll take that, right?
Yeah, I think so.
It's much more tenable but his overall number, I would say to was a 612 guy? Hold on, let me see what area code he was with the LAMO. What is a 651 guy? I mean, this isn't Rubik's Cube material. 651 guy, look it up. That's not in NBA circles. That would not be considered a number. You go, good. He's shooting really well. He's a scorer, and that's the other advantage that he represents. He cannot be ignored. Dan. That's from a movie, a Michael Douglas film.
Yeah.
As you know, but that's where this offense has a chance, I think, to take off in a completely different way than it has before. Echoed on Saturday with Double T. The audio issue things or something else? I don't know. Maybe the Melo not being a good shooter. I don't know. I need more information sometimes via the text line. And that would be, I think somewhat helpful.
We've done a lot of tinkering in that room, as you know. So
yeah, that
there's
could be
some things that sometimes they work, sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
Sometimes depending on who's listening, how they're listening.
That's what somebody said.
Things sound different.
I'm listening in my car. I can't tell any difference from how it's always sounded.
Yes.
So, but we have heard it, and I heard it in my ears some of the time. I don't hear it now, but I have heard it previously. Maybe it's the bit. Maybe that's just the bit now. That's become one of the bits. Is that possible?
It could be.
It wouldn't be the first time or the last time. And
nobody's spilled anything on anything lately, so that it can't be that.
No. Now, here's my World Cup question for today. Is America now bored with the World Cup? Have we gone from more interest than we've ever shown, analytically, statistically, to we're out? It's a cute little story. We're happy for the 4 teams left who happen to be the highest ranked teams. That's never happened since they started ranking these things, FIFA. That's why I love it. I don't need a Cinderella at the World Cup. We're happy for your little Cinderella stories during the big dance. I know you get all aroused when that happens. And by the way, those are
it's over
fading too.
Yeah.
I just I love the greatness of it, and I'm still plugged in. But what's the percentage? Like, we found out 50 million people watched the U.S. lost to Belgium. An astonishing number, all-time number, equal to NFC, AFC title game rounds, NFL. So what's it going to be for Spain, France, which is an excellent matchup, irresistible force, immovable object. 30 million in America?
I don't know.
22 million?
I think closer to that. So I'm looking to see if there's any ratings, and I'm sure someone can find it and send it to me, but I'm curious about the ratings on Saturday. We should be getting those about now, or maybe in the next day or so.
Yeah, they're due.
France, Morocco on Thursday, according to someone from Boston here, Soccer Insider, drew an average of 10.3 million and peaked at 13.6. That's France, Morocco. That's obviously France.
No, right.
But it's not a heavyweight.
13.6?
That's what it peaked at. So for Spain, will you get an extra 9?
France, I think you're going to get more than that. You're not going to you're obviously not going to approach 50. I don't even know, but I bet you get more than that.
It's 2:00 both days.
Yeah,
that's going to affect it as well.
That's a good point. U.S. Belgium was a weekend game, right?
That was a night game.
It was night.
Thursday night.
Oh, it was a Thursday night.
It was.
Okay,
it was going into the Friday.
Yeah. That enters
Friday
into
before
it.
The 4th.
That enters into it too. We talked a lot about this yesterday with Blakemore. The blown the botched 2-on-1 opportunity for Norway, a chance to go up 2-0. Astonishing.
It was a Wednesday night, wasn't it, or Thursday? No, it was a Thursday night. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
It wasn't the 4th of July weekend.
Did you've seen the 2-on-1? That was.
Oh man! How did you not give it up?
And this is how weird I am, or how weird my mind works. As I watched it on replay, the first thing I thought of, and I tweeted this, was an infamous moment in one of a number of forgettable Wolves first-round exits back in the flip days.
Yeah, I know where you're going.
6 straight years, I think we were one and done. And we were playing Dallas that year. And realistically, it might not have mattered if they won the series, but they were in this game. It was late in the game. I want to say it was in Dallas.
It was.
And it was still a close game.
It was.
And it was the classic 2-on-1 with Anthony Peeler.
Look him up, kids.
Having the ball, a left-hander. Streaky player. He could score some.
He could heat up.
Yep. Wally Zerbiak, I want to say, was on the right wing. So it was opposite of what the situation was for Norway, where your guy Holland with the man bun was on the left side.
Yep.
And Peeler ignores Wally, goes up, gets a shot off, as I recall, or I don't know if there was a charge. He didn't score. And I made it the whole thrust, I think, in my column.
We've read it before.
The next day. Yeah, we have read it.
Yeah, we've gone back and found it.
And I'll never forget, there a great writer and a buddy in my traveling newspaper days, Jerry Fraley, the late, great Jerry Fraley, who by then was in Dallas, and he was kind of doing sidebars on that series. And I did. I went after Peeler really hard. And Fraley's job, I think, was to cover the Wolves locker room for the Dallas Morning News. And he comes out and he finds me, I should say, the next game, Peeler didn't play. I don't think he played at all. And Fraley said, man, you got more power than I thought. You savage a guy and he doesn't even play. I mean, he disappears for the next game. And Peeler also noticed. He was not very pleased about it. But
pass the ball, Anthony.
That's how my thought was. It's like, this was every bit as wide open. I'm going to admit, probably more at stake this time than then, first round NBA playoff series. But it's the first thing that came into my head. And it's the classic case of, what are you doing? And part of the reason it reached a point where he couldn't make any play was that he slowed down. The whole thing in soccer we see on those rushes is you go.
Yeah.
And you worry about the rest later. And that slowing down helped the defender make up time. And then that kind of took away the avenue, you could say the passing lane. And you saw the Holland response. He looked bitter and devastated and annoyed.
Because that's literally your guy.
Your guy, and it's your game. You're up 2-0.
It's your guy that has found a way the entire tournament to make an impact.
Yeah.
I had the same reaction. I have an even more niche one than Peeler and Wally, and it's from the Final Four in New Orleans with Lindsey Whalen when they're coming back in the game. And no one will remember this except me and her, because I've talked to her about it. And I won't even tell you who the other player was. And the other one is Whalen, who's wide open. And this player doesn't pass to her, and they turn it over. And even in section like 307 in the Smoothie Kingdom or wherever I was in New Orleans,
you could see it.
Whalen was like Holland, like, I can't believe you didn't give me the bleeping ball. It's a 2-on-1, and I'm open. Yeah. And this game is here for us.
Who didn't deliver it?
I don't even want to out her.
Okay.
People can look it up if it's not. She doesn't need that 25 years later.
Right.
But yeah, the Peeler one, I remember being a high school kid watching the game or one of my colleges, and I remember just being livid. Like, how do you not give him the ball?
Part of what bugged me about it, to be honest, was, look, Wally could be his own worst enemy.
Yes.
And so he brought on some of the criticism that he got. But it became too easy to rip Wally on everything. It's almost like, it almost felt like a freeze-out thing. It's like, what are you doing? Your postseason.
It's right there.
It's on the line. You can't do that. So I actually applauded the decision to bench him. I mean, you might be cutting your nose to spite your face. It's like, wait, it just doesn't, on any level, make any sense at all. But, I mean, Wally, and in fact, wasn't that also...
We should pause quickly, too, by the way.
Coming behind, yeah. Wasn't that also the series in which we'd gotten Joe Smith back a second time, but we decided because Dallas liked to play small, we couldn't play him.
I think that's right.
And I'm going, I remember writing about that. I'm going, yet another reason why this whole enterprise, this obsession is absurd. Oh, certain teams you can't play him against. Well, then he wasn't worth fighting over once and twice, for God's sake, because we got him back, didn't we? We did get him back.
Yes.
Because I think KG wanted him.
Yes, exactly right.
Let's get caught up.
Bumper to Bumper with Dan Barrero on The Fan. The Fan.
Has anybody yet referred to this heat wave we're dealing with as a heat bomb?
If they have, I've missed it.
Heat bomb. That's coming eventually, don't you think? There's bomb cyclone. We know that. How about a heat bomb?
Heat bomb.
Yeah, it's pretty warm.
It's been dropped.
The dew point is not as bad as Houston or Miami, correct?
Definitely not Houston, because that was like 76. We were at a 69, I think, earlier today.
All right. Well, that's getting there.
64 right now.
Yeah, it was hot today, but I thought it was on the on the dry side. You want to translate this? 715 guy wants me to read the Peeler column, but replace the names with Holland and Sorloth, the two players involved on the soccer pitch. Maybe we'll do that at some later date. Hey, translate this one, though. This is from 651 guy. So you can dump on Peeler, but you need to save the WNBA player? I thought you wanted the WNBA to become legit.
It's not WNBA. It was back when she was with the Gophers.
Oh, referring to what you said. That's right. Okay,
the Final Four.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I just don't think she needs it.
All right. Well, I'm going to find it, and I might go. You can't stop me from going.
I can. No, you're right.
I mean, it's factual. If it's factual, it's factual.
Yes.
And she probably got over it either way.
I don't know.
Maybe not.
I don't know. You might never.
Maybe
you
not.
might never live that down. You have a chance to beat UConn in the national semis.
Are you familiar with Thor Tolo? Do you remember that name from the past?
I listened to him growing up.
So I don't know why something popped up on, what do they call it? My thread. I don't know what they call it. And then I did. I found a place where, like whatever happened to Thor Tolo. It sounds like, I think we might know this already. I think he's a professor at the University of Washington. But this is a good example of how online stuff doesn't always quite work out. Because in the subsection of Thor Tolo posts and photos, this photo, I'm going to see if I can maximize this so you can see it from there. If not, I'll bring it closer and you'll have to talk. This is identified via this particular thread as Thor Tolo at KFAN. Can you see that photo from there? Who does that look like to you?
That's Kevin Falls.
Kevin Falls.
I can see that from a mile away.
How good is that? And right underneath it says Thor Tolo at Thor Tolo, like that's his Twitter handle. That's what he looks like.
Oh my
Has
goodness.
Kevin Fallness, he probably didn't know who Thor Tolo is.
No, he doesn't.
But it does show you that as much as we think, AI is getting better and they're finding ways to get closer to factual stuff, that there's the occasion where strange things get blurred. So he will forever be known as a Thor Tolo wannabe, apparently, according to X, according to these particular photos that are all deemed to be examples of Thor Tolo in the flesh.
Just a brilliant picture of Fallness as well. Just a vintage Fallness picture.
He looked very serious, didn't he?
That's what he does when he takes selfies of himself.
Yeah.
He looks either serious or confused or disappointed in somebody. I've never seen him take a selfie and smile. He wouldn't fit in on the new look Timberwolves.
I think that it looked to me, was that a program password appearance?
Or he was filling in on Beyond the Pond.
Yeah, it could have been.
Filling in, hosting Beyond the Pond, or filling in on one of the shows. I don't know.
I guess instead of a heat bomb, a heat dome. We do hear that from time to time.
Heat dome, we do hear that.
Hear that a lot.
Yeah.
Lawyer Tom writes, Glenn Taylor and McHale have somehow taken all the heat for the Joe Smith fiasco, while KG has received virtually no blame. KG insisted on the Wolves figuring out a way to keep Joe Smith. Likewise, T. Hassel, T. Hudson, etc. And KG hated Wally. KG was an ipso facto GM and coach once he'd been on the team for several years, and he was horrible at it. He told Glenn to sign his buddies or else he'd leave. Set the franchise back about a decade. That's undeniable. I mean, it's not. I mean, Michael Jordan was terrible as a general manager. There are times where players, we all talk about in this league, you should run stuff by players. They should have ownership. But I got to tell you, I think it's a very dangerous road to go down, even if the player you're talking to is a superstar, not just a star, but a superstar, because they often don't have the best judgment.
Just listen to all the former player podcasts.
You'll learn quickly. That's true.
They're not that
very
dialed.
True.
They're not that dialed.
Not as dialed as they think they are, the basis of their experience.
Right.
And because that's what they think gets them to that place where they feel emboldened. But yeah, I mean, I still put the Joe Smith thing more on McHale and Taylor, to be honest. But KG did, push hard for some players who had limited. Now, Hassel had value. T-Hud was not horrible. The question always was, the Joe Smith obsession made no sense. The question is always, what other moves might have been made, if you didn't go as hard as they did to keep some of those individual players. Did you also see DeMarcus Cousins?
I did.
Like David Aldridge and everybody else, the fashionable national viewpoint isn't that LeBron James is going to end up here. It's that he should end up here. It's amazing. Every day,
all roads,
somebody else, and the Aldridge piece, we'll talk about it probably with Johnny because he works with him, went into it in a lot of depth. And who did we draft the DeMarcus Cousins year?
I feel like that was the Wesley Johnson draft.
You're right, yeah. And again, DeMarcus was problematic.
Yep.
But I was ready to take him.
Yes.
Just because of, the unquestioned. Wesley Johnson was not made for the National Basketball Association in any way, shape, or form. Top 5?
Well, you kind of led me right into it. It's not DeMarcus Cousins, but it is the latest on LeBron.
You're listening to Barrero on The Fan.
From the 1-800-ASK-GARY Traffic Center.
This report is sponsored